the year at our third annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. If you want to check out the awardees and the schools where they teach at, please visit Noeta, Noeta.org. You can also purchase tickets to the gala via the website too. Let's send these teachers some love for all the hard work they do with our students.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Wake up, New Orleans. Wake up, wake up. Man, yeah. Hey, I'm so glad I got up. My pillow didn't want to let me go this morning.
Didn't want to let you go?
This morning, yeah.
Holding on to you? That's
Yeah.
that good sleep.
Yeah. Every time I moved, the arm came out the pillow and pulled me back. But I'm so happy to get up. Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. It's good to see you too, Doc. I know you're a little solemn this morning because, and I texted and we were talking about what happened to so-and-so and the guy.
Marcellus. Yeah, Marcellus Williams was executed
anyway.
last night, despite overwhelming evidence that he was, in fact, innocent of the crime that he was charged with. He was charged in 1998, convicted in 2001. He spent 20 years on death row. The St. Louis prosecutor actually supported tossing out his death row conviction.
Right.
The family of the victim supported the tossing out of his death row conviction, but the governor and the attorney general of the state of Missouri pushed for his execution.
So our hearts and our prayers go out to him and his family, and just wanted to take that moment for that miscarriage of justice. So let's go to line number one. Miss Latina.
Hey, brother.
Hey,
Elmo, how you doing?
Oh, hey, Elmo. Good.
Hey, brother, how you doing, man? I appreciate what, man, I tell you, that was a game-changing conversation yesterday, man. I really appreciate it, and you had me lit up like a Christmas tree when I called up about it. But to add on to what we discussed yesterday, I watched Frontline last night. Oh, man, very interesting. It was showing the rise of Harris and Trump. It was very interesting. I tell you, a rising star. But, I think what we need to understand is our politics today. You're a gentleman. Most the Republican Party ain't gentlemen, man. I mean, they is anarchists. They're anarchists. They're rebels. I mean, they're doing everything to divide our country right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's so many. But what do you think is the main reason for the division, then, Brother Elmo? If you could say, hey, look, we're becoming more and more divided, right? And that 50-50, it seems to be those stark contrasts in ideology seems to be more prevalent today than ever. What are the one or two reasons why you think it's like that?
Well, let me tell you what I see. I'm 74 years old, and I've seen a lot. I look at where we came from as a people. You're a very educated young fellow, because I'm 74 years old. Mm-hmm. You are really educated, your family to be educated. I think that they want the country back because they're very alarmed to see young black males, young black sisters educating themselves to be someone in life that they should always have the privilege to be. And I think they feel threatened by that, man. I mean, I think they shouldn't feel threatened by that. But I think what's threatening to them is they had a generational wealth, generational education opportunities, generational places where they could live and eat. Everything they had, and they're still cheating, and they can't understand that we're passing them by. We're doing it the right way, passing them by, and they're cheating. And even the ones that's not cheating, they look at us like, look how far ahead. Even though we feel we have a long way to go, hey man, we are really getting out the generation of black sisters. I'm gonna have to give to the young lady with you. Those young sisters are educating themselves. They're educating themselves.
Yes,
they're
they
educating
are.
brothers that don't know. They're educating brothers that don't understand because they don't know.
Yeah, Brother Elmo, that's the beauty, man. We have some educated
Educated sisters, brother.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. They are. Hey, Brother Elmo, we appreciate you so much, man, and thank you for being part of our
Well,
conversation.
look. I don't live too far from your family, man. I live on Moke Drive, man. You know me.
All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
Remember when I spoke with you with Dixon?
Yeah. No doubt about it. Well, good. Bless
All
you,
right,
good
brother.
Have a great week. You hear?
Yes, sir. Have a nice week yourself, brother.
All right. You too, man. And now, Miss Latina Javalette, Crime Victim Survivor Services Coordinator for the City of New Orleans, the Brides Memorial March. Ms. Javalette, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
We're doing good. So talk to us. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me this morning.
Well, you know, Dr. White and I, man, the one thing we do, we appreciate the people who come to share information. I mean, and it's really important that we get as much as possible so that not only we can talk about it, but much of what we talk about here also has the ability to affect people's lives. So tell us about your role, what you're doing in this march.
Okay, so I'm organizing a march. It is the 24th annual Gladys Ricard Memorial March for Victims of Domestic Violence. This particular march is the first time that we're doing it in New Orleans, so it's our inaugural march. But we're doing it in combination simultaneously with the walk that happens in New York every year. So a little bit about the walk itself, the march itself. Miss Gladys Ricard was actually murdered hours before her wedding at her home with her family during that time. So, you know, her ex-boyfriend came into her home and murdered her in front of her son and her family. So what we want to do is just to bring awareness to domestic violence. We want to actually denounce that antisocial behavior and also, you know, encouraging those individuals to actually get help, but then also engage the vulnerable populations, making sure they're aware of, you know, that there is help for people who experience domestic violence. But then also, we want to intentionally engage men because a lot of times women talk to men about these issues, but we would like the men to take an active role and be a part of and talking to men and denouncing the behavior as well.
You know, we've done so many shows here on mental health, domestic violence, abuse, what's happening, and we have a whole host of experts who chime in with the show on that issue for the last several years. But one of the things we found in talking was that the cases of domestic violence increased during COVID. Talk about that impact on it, and post-COVID, why are we seeing more of that behavior?
So when you see someone that's involved in a domestic violence relationship, whether it's boyfriend or spouse, whatever the case may be, one of the real key components of that is isolation. So when you think about being isolated from your family and friends, COVID, it did just that. It isolated us from everybody. And also, when you think about these type of behaviors, it's really embarrassing for somebody to come forward and say, hey, this is happening to me. And also, sometimes people think that they could fix the relationship or maybe they could make changes that would help, but it's really not them. It's the other party who's, you know, being aggressive and abusive and bullying, threatening, just extreme rage and those type of behaviors. So COVID really just increased that type of, you know, isolation for the individuals who are experiencing it. Now, we always talk about violence against women. We recognize that it could be anyone who suffers and who's a victim of domestic violence.
Yeah, I was going to walk down that road with you.
Yes, I know you were.
Yeah.
So we do say violence against women because for so long, you know, so many women are being abused and but it could be anyone. It could be men who are abused. It really doesn't matter your status, economic status, social status. It could really happen to anyone. The thing that we really want to drive home is that one life lost is too many. So we don't want anyone to lose their life because they made a choice to sever the relationship. And I'm just so grateful that Commissioner Stevens and Mayor Cantrell is on board and supporting this effort because it's so important. And the thing about it is that it affects everyone, whether we know it or not. Those same type of behaviors can actually come in the workplace and things of that nature. So we are constantly surrounded by these type of behaviors in these individuals. And I think that it's time that we actually call it out and say that we won't take it anymore. And it's not welcome here.
Yeah, Ms. Shalavet, there's another effort there that folks are focusing on. You know, people have not gotten along since the beginning of time. They've had disputes, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or they just don't like each other. But one of the things that experts are talking about now is when there are issues of domestic violence and kids are involved, once the healing starts, or the separation starts, or the healing starts, the work to repair the kids, talk about, or the other members of the family, talk about those efforts, please, and why it's important.
So it's important because, kids who witness domestic violence, like you're saying, people are not getting along in the household or just don't like each other for whatever reason. Those kids see this type of behavior, and then they tend to imitate that type of behavior when they're at school or on the playground or things like that. Statistics show that for the most part, if a person witnessed domestic violence or, has trauma from domestic violence, they'll either grow up to be like a batterer or being abused themselves. So the thing that is really key, I believe, as far as helping individuals in that area and the efforts, is that we all have to just recognize and have insight about the relationship. It's called romantic competence. So insight into the relationship, mutuality, and emotional regulation. If we can really keen on those three things in a relationship and just recognize that we can't control another individual and the choices that they make, but we do have a choice whether we choose to stay in the relationship. It is not as easy to walk away, but when you have kids involved, the kids could get hurt. Those type of behaviors can follow the kids, follow the parents to school, to the schools while they're just maybe checking on their child. And then you have an individual that comes to the school, the stalking type of behaviors. All these type of things are important, and they do have places that our local partners are available to help. Places like the Family Justice Center, places like Silence is Violence, and all these other agencies, the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, all these other partners are working to assist families so that they know that we are there for them. And like with the New Orleans Police Department, their SVU unit, the Special Victim Unit, and also the NOPD Victim Assistance Unit, all of these partners work together to assist families and make sure that they get the resources that they need so that they can get the help that they need. And when they finally decide to leave, they can, move forward and have support. The only thing that we would caution is that when a person really decides to leave, that is one of the most dangerous times. So the time that they are getting the restraining orders and all kind of temporary restraining orders and all type of measures that they may put in place, support from the family is really going to be important, because sometimes they may stay longer because they feel they don't have somewhere to go. So it's important that having family and friends who are willing to just be supportive and listen, and the best thing they could actually do is remove judgment.
Well, as I listened to you talk, I wanted to ask the question about the real protections for domestic violence victims, because there's just a story where a Jamaican soccer player, he was literally out on bail with the ankle monitor on, and he went to the child's school and attacked his wife in the hallway of the school. Viciously attacked her. It was all over national news. And this was his second time being released on bond or bail or whatever it's called. And he still found a way to attack her. So, you always want to believe victims and you always want to protect them. But how do we protect people with paper that says you're supposed to stay away when they ignore the paper? The ankle monitor says where he is, and he still comes and attacks her. So how do you really protect victims of domestic violence?
So I would say that that's where that support comes from the family and the friends, and also everybody else around being aware. So the paper, the restraining order is the legal part, right? That civil restraining order, that's the legal part. They have criminal and the civil part. If that person is out on bond, it doesn't stop them from stalking someone. It doesn't stop it, but it's important that we are aware and know what's around us, right? Like sometimes maybe families are like, oh, I've been getting like 50 calls from this individual, or like he shows up or she shows up everywhere that I am. All of that is a pattern of behavior that needs to be documented. The things that we can do, I believe, is that we can pay attention to what's happening around us. And when something doesn't feel right, it's really not. So like measures like for the individual that is being stalked or receiving threats from an individual, let someone know. Speak up and say, hey, this is what's happening to me, so that people who are at the school are notified the school, hey, this person is not supposed to be there. There is a restraining order in place. And those type of things. So sometimes we want to keep this private, but in doing that, it opens up everyone else to be subjected to those type of behaviors as well. So that's why I'm saying it's important for us to be aware and recognizing, just to be honest, that paper in itself does not protect us.
Absolutely. Can you tell us about the march, like the information, if people want to support the march, show up for the march? Can you tell us the information about the march?
Sure. So the march is happening on Thursday, September the 26th at 9:30 a.m. We will begin a brief ceremony right on the steps of City Hall, and then we are walking down Perdido to Loyola. We're going to go down Loyola to Julia Street, make a U-turn, and come back down Loyola, and then back to City Hall. So we want to make sure that everyone is invited. They're invited to come out. If they want more information, they could go to the OCJC website. That's the Office of Criminal Justice Coordination website. Or they can go to Eventbrite to get their tickets. Any information or any questions that they have, we'll be happy to answer it. They could email me at LRJolivet, that's LRJOLIVETT @NOLA.gov. And we'll just want to invite everybody, and we're happy to have anyone who wants to participate and be involved for this important cause. And it's actually kind of a kickoff before next month, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Latina Jolivet, the Crime Victims and Survivor Services Coordinator for the City of New Orleans, here talking about the 24th annual march that often takes place in New York, but the first inaugural march in the City of New Orleans. So thank you for being here. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. We look forward to talking to you again about this very important issue. Thank you, Ms. Jolivet.
Sure. Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. What about look? We're going to take a break, guys. When we come back, Perry Shows, the founder and CEO of InStudio, we heard one of our guests mention him in his episode: internships, talent, career, immersions, apprenticeships, teaching young folk leadership, that and a whole lot more with CEO of InStudio. He's going to be in studio, rather. Mr. Perry Shows. Thank y'all.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
Discover the Leah Chase School, NOLA Public School's first new direct-run traditional public school in nearly 2 decades. We offer excellence in math, science, English, and social studies, focusing on unlocking every child's potential. Every scholar receives a personal device, regular assessments, clear family communication, as well as transportation services in a nurturing, arts-inclusive environment. Secure your child's K through 5th grade slot today. Apply at enrollnolaps.com and embark upon a unique educational journey.
New Orleans Burlesque is back. The Red Light District, located on the 2nd floor of your New Orleans headquarters by Nice Guys, presents a captivating, international, award-winning burlesque experience that will leave you breathless. Indulge in the sounds of our Grammy Award-winning quartet and exceptional food pairings each and every Saturday. To purchase tickets, visit Eventbrite.com, and remember, what happens in the Red Light District stays in the Red Light District.
Fried chicken isn't just food, it's a feeling. It's family reunions, Sunday dinners, and celebrations. It's the taste of home. The National Fried Chicken Festival, presented by Raising Cane's, brings people together from all walks of life to share a delicious, time-tested tradition. It's fried fun for everyone. Join us October 5th and 6th at the New Orleans Lakefront. Get your tickets today at friedchickenfestival.com.
Ochsner Health knows that making your health a priority is key to staying active. Join Ochsner Health, Johnson & Johnson, and community partners for a free event focusing on Black men's health. Get screenings for blood pressure, glucose, cholesterol, and prostate cancer. Plus, join candid conversations with health experts about men's sexual health and well-being. This event is Saturday, September 28th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Marrero Community Center at 1861 Ames Boulevard. Be proactive, stay active.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Back, man. We want to thank Ms. Jolivet, the Crime Victims and Survivors Coordinator for the City of New Orleans and the Bryson Memorial March, guys. So if you have time, participate. It'll be Thursday on the front steps of City Hall. Also, shout out, man, to the Goose, man. The America Street Group crew is having their all-white affair this weekend, September the 27th, as well as the Goose reunion. That's going to be happening, and the picnic. So Lenny Sylvester, all the folks over there, man, who lived in the Goose, man, coming back to help rebuild and re-energize that community. You got the family picnic on Saturday. You got the all-white Goose affair on Friday at Crescent Room. So, hey, man, let's support communities who are supporting each other. Talking about supporting each other, the great Perry Shows is in the studio with us, man. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show.
Here. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. So how you doing since the while that it's been?
Since the while that it's been, let's see. I think I was the chair of the board for the Black Chamber, and then a couple other things. But doing well. Blessed.
Good.
Definitely blessed.
Good.
And
so tell us, Career Immersion Leadership Institute. What is it, and what they do?
So it is a nonprofit, and we are focused on helping students figure out how to navigate getting experience before they leave college and go to a company without experience.
So those powerful internships.
Yeah, internships, co-ops, anything that we can do. We take them to professional events. We engage with them on any level that will get them ready, just to be more confident in themselves and understand what professionalism really looks like and what the experience is. And the more we can get them involved in that, the better for that student.
So I see that you were born out of a need to reduce racial disparities and fill critical talent gaps in the local workforce.
Yeah.
How do you stay afloat with this elimination of DEI initiatives all across this country?
It's tough because we are, asking foundations and corporations to fund us. So quite honestly, we're struggling, with that as far as getting sources, of funds to keep the organization afloat. But we believe in our product, which is developing young professionals and getting them ready for their career. Where we've had success in getting students in front of employers, we've had a lot of success. And so, I do a lot of work in that DEI space. So the challenge is real. I think it's just something that we have to just continue to do the work and pray that there's going to be a break in people understanding that the facts or that diverse companies are more profitable, more innovative, more inclusive. The employees enjoy the experience better. And all of this rhetoric around, critical race theory, diversity, all of that stuff, it's part of our world nowadays.
Well, oftentimes the people who are perpetuating the rhetoric don't even understand what critical race theory is.
Oh, for sure, because I do work in that space, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of it, right?
I can help you wrap your head around it, but in the meantime, can you tell us the college and universities where your programs are housed?
So the colleges come with the students. So we really are school agnostic. It does not matter what school a student is studying at, as long as it's actively enrolled. And for the last 4 years, we've been focused on 4-year institutions.
Okay.
We're loosening that a little bit to sort of consider students from community and technical colleges. So, Xavier, SUNO, Southern Baton Rouge, LSU,
UL,
Nicholas. Yesterday I was at UL teaching a class to freshmen, and we have students who are from Louisiana that are studying away. So I have students at Notre Dame, students at Howard. As long as they're attached to Louisiana, part of our focus is we are founded in Louisiana and focused on making sure that we try to, as best, keep talent home. And sometimes our students want to go somewhere else and get a different experience. And so to the extent that we can help them find jobs, school connections elsewhere, we're all about the students. So the center of our model is Black and brown kids, helping them that have chosen to go to college. All right.
So how do you stay with the student post graduating? So is it just when they're in school? What do the supports look like once they graduate from university or college?
Yeah, so we have students in our first and second cohorts who have gotten jobs, and some have already experienced layoffs and things like that. So if they have my phone number and my team's phone number or coach's phone number, they call and say, can you help me look at my resume? Can you help coach me through searching for my next gig? We do have an alumni. So we have just 3 to 4 different program levels, and one of them is alumni, so that we can keep track of the students even after they're done with their college. My intention for the organization is that, around the state, but particularly here, because a lot of our students are from New Orleans, that 5 or 10 years, we're going to have this powerful alumni of Black and brown kids who are professional, out doing work in nonprofits, for-profits, educational institutions, government, that will have gone through our program, and they will be, entity on themselves.
Within this group of Black and brown kids, there are also other segments.
Yep.
That when you take a look at the job market.
Yep.
And last night I spoke before a group, and I talked to a group last week about what's happening with the nation's economy.
Mm-hmm.
In February, the CNBC financial report about the nation's economy said that Black men and boys are being left out of the nation's economy. That was a headline.
Yep.
It wasn't what we made up here. So do you begin to look at certain niche groups to say, hey, if Black men and boys are being left out of the economy?
Yep.
We all know here the NOLA Business Report a couple of years ago that Mr. Miller did that said that it was as high as 52% of Black men and boys were unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you begin to tailor programs to say, hey, look, this is an opportunity here. We need to focus on this particular group?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we've had a niche that focused on Black males. Within our group, again, the students come knocking on our door saying, I need help. Now, I would say to you, there are more females being educated, all that stuff. More of them come to us. So I'd say we're about 60% female, 40% male in the work that we've done.
That's what all the numbers show.
Sure. but within that, being black male from New Orleans, and when I have males in my group, I'm doing that extra thing because I know personally what the struggle is, right? I grew up in the 7th Ward in Gertown, and so it's like I know all of the imposter syndrome, all that stuff that kids are going through that are ambitious but just don't know, right?
Well, we got a caller.
Yes.
Line number 1, Mr. Marcus Colston.
Board member.
CLI board member, line number 1. Good morning, Mr. Colston. Welcome to the Good Morning Show
Good
with
morning.
Doc Wide No T. Talk to me, man.
Good morning, man. I appreciate you all having me this morning.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, Marcus, for being here. Appreciate you waking up
No,
early
my
with me.
a little bit later up here on the East Coast, but good to be with you and just continue to share the Sealy message. I know you guys were just talking about some of the economic challenges that black men are facing, and ultimately, my work with Sealy and Perry started a few years ago, and just seeing the impact and seeing the opportunity for these young men and women to kind of be in cohorts with people that look like them, people that are supporting them, and just getting an opportunity to start that compounding journey, on the wealth building side sooner than later. You just feel really good about the opportunity to help start to close that wealth gap one student at a time.
And Mr. Colston, I mean, it's obvious that retirement wasn't retirement for you, but what was it at that moment during your career when you said, hey, you know what, this is an area where I want to give my time and my energy as well as my resources?
I mean, I would say it was kind of the whole way through, and just being fortunate enough to meet folks like Perry, like he said, from New Orleans, a city that gave me so much
right.
In my career. And really, it's the place where I came of age as a man, so, seeing those opportunities to plug into platforms and plug into people that are just doing good work, doing the right work for the right reasons. It's always been a no-brainer, and this organization in particular is one that just fits my passion for entrepreneurship, my passion for helping young people build wealth, and it's kind of a different angle and a different perspective, to look at from the career building perspective as well.
But Perry shows how important is it, especially when you talk about Marcus Colston, folk who may not know, former, I think the best receiver.
He can catch now.
Whoever wore no. If it was in the catch radius, it got caught.
Catch it.
It got caught. But what folk didn't know about Marcus's level of consciousness, we take a look at so many athletes in terms of their celebrity on the field, but not their interest off the field. And of course, Marcus, the statistics: 65% of professional athletes, especially in football, wind up broke after they're finished. But Marcus was always special there. How important it is to have notables like this, especially black males, working with you in this endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, early on, Marcus and I connected in the DEI space. We asked him to come to an organization and speak to us, and then after that, we began to talk about the work. So one of the things I love, Marcus had this thing about creating separation, right? Which was a way of realizing that you needed to elevate your game.
And that's all the best way to catch your ball, too.
Absolutely.
You create separation.
Right?
Right.
And so early, we just started having conversations about, getting into the minds of that young person early to help them understand the work that it requires to create separation, right? So we talked about his career and, how do you get to the point where you're one of the best in your field of work, right? Right.
So everybody knows I'm an educator. I'm K-12, right?
Yep.
Is there a way?
An athlete.
And an athlete. And an athlete. That's how I knew who he was. So, is there a way to build a cohort of kids prior to them getting to college in that K-12 space to inform them about what your program offers so that they can have an idea prior to stepping on a college or university's campus so that they can know about this and be involved in this prior to that endeavor in post-graduating high school?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Wari, for talking about that. So we're kind of like a toddler, if you will. Our first cohort of kids was in 2021, and so for 4 years now we're recruiting for cohort number 5. But you're correct. We realized that there are so many students that are going to making that decision to go to college, and so we're starting to work on getting into high schools, getting into programs like Silverback, like Son of a Saint, that are in that K through 12. They're supporting students, trying to help them matriculate through successfully. We're trying to attach ourselves to those organizations so that we can partner and do work, and we can go in and let's talk about careers at that 11th, 12th grade, right? If there's a student, we believe that if we can get to that high schooler to say, if you go to college, guess what? There is an organization that is focused on helping you, black or brown kid, when you make that step. So you're not only going to be getting some sort of support to successfully get through college, we're going to help you with understanding professionalism and introduce you to companies so that you can start to, as soon as possible, learn how to make money in a professional stance.
Which is what I think the draw could be for black boys.
Yes.
They have to see
No
a
doubt.
reason to even endeavor into this space.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times they don't see a pathway forward post high school, so they stop going altogether.
Absolutely.
So I think if we could figure out a way to engage them at the K-12 space, and you won't be struggling at the college space trying to get the cohorts of kids who are interested.
That is
It's just
correct.
my opinion.
No, you're Dr. White. You're absolutely on par there. We've learned enough about how to do this work
Yes.
and build our pipeline.
Yes.
That is definitely a top strategy for us to start to partner with those organizations that are doing work in that K through 12 and then talk.
And while we have Marcus Coast on the line, Marcus, you mentioned closing the wealth gap.
Yep.
I participated in the Congressional Black Caucus Wealth Conference last year. And Marcus, what we found out was that though we have African Americans who are doing better, the wealth gap, our participation in the nation's wealth is worse than it was per capita. It was worse than 150 years ago. So we have a few people who are doing better, but the gap is widening. We know post-Katrina here in New Orleans that the wealth gap is, almost 10 or 11 times greater than it was pre-Katrina. Marcus, what is the role, and I'd love to do a show on this, Marcus, at some point, the responsibility of the celebrity and the athlete and that public idol to focus on this issue. Marcus, do you think there's a role or responsibility, especially for people who have had that level of stardom and celebrity like yourself?
I can only speak for myself and say absolutely. I think, the communities that support you and the communities that help you get to the place where you can ascend are the very same communities that I do feel a responsibility to try and open doors and create different pathways, really to make it you see the deficiencies that you were able to navigate and people were able to help you through. Right. And to be able to come back and try to fill some of those gaps and create some of those pathways for others, it's you hope that more people are thinking about it that way. And in terms of closing the wealth gap, the one thing that we know is that there's multiple different ways to do that.
Correct.
And from the Sealy perspective, we're talking about getting kids kind of integrated into corporate, getting kids opportunities in the corporate. But where that falls into the wealth gap is the around compounding. And typically a college kid is going away and college kind of becomes this source of debt. And these unpaid internships, you're gaining experience, but you're not closing your own balance sheet, right? You're not closing the gap on your own balance sheet, but the opportunity to get these kids into corporate opportunities, get that visibility, get that support, but also get some dollars in their pockets.
Yep.
It starts to change that paradigm to where you can start to think about building wealth and start to think about building wealth earlier and allow it to continue to compound. And I think that's one of the areas that we can really we're working more on a corporate level, but it does start to have those financial ramifications because compounding is what it is.
Well, we're going to
the sooner you can get it in, the sooner you can grow it.
Right.
You put yourself in a better position.
Well, we're going to go to break, but that's a good segue when we come back. How do we begin to look at those different sectors? We know in the NFL they had the Rooney Rule, right? We know the article that Boeing just put out about New Orleans. They couldn't find more a higher level of professionals for their space program out at NASA. So that and a whole lot more. Marcus Colson, Perry Shows, Dr. Wyatt, OT, and Nyron on the box. We'll be back after the break. WBOK 12:30 a.m.
When New Orleans is talking about ours.
Girl, you know it's still your station.
It always
your
will
birthday.
be.
We'll be back after the break.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Partly cloudy skies with a better chance for rain. Likely going to see a few isolated storms this afternoon and evening. Wind gusts could get up to 25 miles per hour as dry air moves in late Wednesday into Thursday. Today's highs, though, will be into the upper 80s, feeling like the mid-90s. Mid-80s, though, are expected for Thursday and Friday. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Sweet chocolate reward. Sweet chocolate reward.
This is not just the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat at Walgreens. This is the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat right after receiving all their vaccines in one trip. This is the sound of treating yourself, because you protected yourself.
Stop by or schedule both your flu and COVID-19 vaccines today and grab yourself a sweet treat while you're at it. Vaccine subject to availability. State, age, and health-related restrictions may apply.
September is National Recovery Month and time to celebrate the millions of Americans in recovery. Metropolitan Human Services District wants to remind you that treatment is effective and everyone can recover. If you are looking for a recovery program and you live in the Orleans, St. Bernard, or Plaquemines Parish, visit mhsdla.org or call 504-568-3130. Recovery is possible, and MHSD is here to help. Metropolitan Human Services District, where we change lives.
Hey folks, it's Dr. Shepherd. You know me. I've got something special for you. Write this number down. 504-858-4696. That number is for you if you're having hair loss issues, no matter what the issue may be. It's for an all-natural ingredient formula derived by my mom, a pharmacist, in 1971. And trust me, it works. Give us a try. You can get your hands on it right now. Call 504-858-4696.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Talk That NOLA Education is all about awareness. Join Dr. Jaquil Ross from New Schools for New Orleans to learn about Thrive Kids, a student wellness program created at Children's Hospital and in partnership with NOLA Public Schools. Tune in for Talk That this Monday at 12:30 p.m. on 12:30 a.m.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 12:30 a.m.
And we are back. We're here talking to Perry Scholes and the Marcus Colston in the SEALY program, talking about career immersion and leadership and the institute that helps produce our future leaders. So we went to break talking about these opportunities and Mr. Shows, I want you to tell us about your programs over at Sealy.
Yeah, so programs, all the work that we do is totally focused on college students. So we reach students through now 4 different programs. One we call Higher Learning. That is a program where we will, any organization that invites us in, we will go in and talk about career preparation, professionalism, how do you brand yourself, and we'll talk, to either educators or we'll talk directly to students. We offer those sessions typically online for free. Any college student can log in, join us, and like I said, if we yesterday I was on campus at UL doing a program where we were doing self-awareness. We use a behavioral assessment.
Right.
So that's the first one. Our fellowship program is the program where it's specifically for Black and brown kids. It's at least 1 year, and students apply to that program. We accept them into that program, and then for a period of time, we're working on bringing them through our curriculum around getting them ready for understanding what it's like to be in a professional environment. And that includes us guiding them to internship opportunities or
paid internship.
Everything we do is paid. Yeah, we don't do any unpaid anything. Right?
Yeah. I want to get back to where we set the table, and I think Mr. Colson did a good job of saying, look, closing the wealth gap.
Yep.
There's several ways you can do that. Have money, build money, or get some money.
Sure.
Right? Have an opportunity, make an opportunity, or get an opportunity. Mr. Colson and Ms. Shows, there's several areas, and I use an example, Marcus, when off the air, that African Americans graduate in tech at about 10%, but only get hired at 4%, So how do we begin to take a look at those different sectors where we're not represented? You dealt with it as a professional athlete, seeing that the players were a certain percentage, but the coaches and administrators and owners were a whole nother.
Yep.
How do we use the landscape, Marcus, so that there are multiple opportunities to close the wealth gap through profession and opportunity? Mr. Colson.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a complex challenge like that we've been dealing with for a long time, and I think ultimately the most efficient way to start to close that gap is when you get people in the door that represent as you enter the room that you are kind of representing a group broader than yourself.
Correct.
And as we get people in those rooms, and they're able to climb the ladder and make their way into decision-making positions, being able to reach back and make sure you hold that door open just to create opportunities for visibility. Because I think if you are able to create those opportunities for visibility and folks and candidates are able to come in on their credentials, we feel pretty good about the opportunity that our credentials can speak for themselves. It's more about the visibility and that sponsorship within the room to create those opportunities.
Yeah, and I would say, since retiring, Marcus is Series 6 or 8. I don't know what his certification is now.
Right.
But, we're bringing into Sealy financial literacy. Mm-hmm. So we work with organizations like Home Bank. I was on the other day with Calvin was here.
That's
we also,
talked about.
right. The OnPath. We've had Fidelity come in and talk to our. So with OnPath, we now have a line. I sent an email this morning to the bank, my contact there, saying I have a student who's getting ready to buy a car.
Right.
Instead of having our kids go to a predatory lending source, want to go to the bank, talk to someone at a credit union that we've made a relationship with to teach you first about car buying and credit so that then you understand that. So financial literacy is a part of our program because I'm confident that you are going to be successful and have money, and I'm planting that seed that you need to understand money and wealth and how it works, and then generational wealth.
So let me say this, right? As much as I'm enjoying this conversation, it's also a bit frustrating, right?
Yep.
Because what I'm listening to, Marcus and Perry, is one of the best kept secrets when you talk about the ability to not only close the wealth gap, but create opportunity in different sectors, right? There's so many other programs that are notable that don't actually offer the opportunities that you guys do. Why is that? You have one of the best people who ever played this position ever in the history of the NFL, I think, and many do. And you have you who understand the market out there. Why don't we know more about Sealy, and why isn't it more prominent?
Probably because I'm a little more introverted than I should be in talking about the program.
And during Marcus's career, they said he was a little introverted too.
Yes.
Mr.
That's an
Colson?
understatement.
He said that's an understatement.
But they also said he should have got hazard pay because he made Drew Brees look good. That's what one of our listeners said.
Well, I think what Marcus showed, there's still waters run deep, and that's why he's probably more successful as a businessman and as an agent of the Most High than even as he was as a pass catcher. But Marcus, how do we get more notoriety, right? And more, because this program is a solution.
Yes.
Yep.
Mr. Coles?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, it's opportunities like this to get out and tell our story.
Right.
So
Bingo.
first and foremost,
That's what I mean.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that the work that we're doing is not sexy on the surface, but it's that foundational work that, we're kind of building that pipeline. And the city of New Orleans and the greater New Orleans region will benefit from this pipeline long term.
Yep.
But as you all know, it's kind of tough to be a first mover, right? And that's what Perry has taken on in these last handful of years in building this organization and being as committed to this organization as he is. Right. I think it's a slower grind than we want it to be, but it's allowing us to build and it's allowing us to kind of create a foundation that's strong. So when that visibility does start to come and that external support does come, we've got a really good infrastructure to be able to scale meaningfully.
Well, we got a solution here. Dr. White and I would love to have you bi-monthly or quarterly come in and do a segment with us about this opportunity.
Sure, I
and,
would love
and where
that.
opportunity is, because we can see the validity of the program right off the bat.
Yep.
And for you, Marcus Colson, as an old head, let me say this to a young aspiring brother. God has given you a gift, first of all, a mastery of a language, the ability to connect, especially in this sector. I would love to see you training young athletes, being on CNN, because you can not only hear what you say, Marcus, we can feel what you say.
Absolutely.
And it's credible because people know you aren't that person who ran to the light all the time. You just did your job. So hopefully maybe you're at a point in your life where those still waters can kind of ripple at the top so we can see where they come from. Mr. Coast.
No, I thank you for that, man. And it's I am in that point in my life because I've got a seventh grade. My oldest is in seventh grade, so I'm looking at some of these things that we're talking about. Some of these situations are knocking on my doorstep. So no, this is 110% in my wheelhouse, and really looking forward to continuing this conversation with you all. Just because everything you said about us, we can feel your urgency on this issue, and we can feel, how committed and how devoted you are to this issue. So I'm personally looking forward to continuing to build with you guys.
Well, listen, thank you for what you've done for the city of New Orleans. And I would also say, Mr. Shows, when you come back, it would be good for you to bring one of your alumni, one
Absolutely.
of the kids, so that they can be ambassadors for this program and let people know what it's done for their lives and push us forward that way, too.
Well, Perry Shows and the Shows family, man, one of the great families of this community. Perry, thank you for what you do. And we're going to do what we can to make sure that you not only get the notoriety, but you get the respect. Marcus Colson, probably one of the best pass catchers who ever did it, but what we know now, too, one of the best citizens and one of the best people God put on this earth. especially as a human being. So
if I could just plug,
we look forward to that. Plug it.
We're a
Plug it.
nonprofit.
Plug
and
it.
so internshiptalent.org. If you $5, $10,
It all helps.
it all helps us to impact the young person of color and helping them get to their next level.
And we look
So-
forward to continuing this conversation on WBOK 1230 AM. Whose station?
Our station.
Girl, you know it's still your station. We'll be back after the break. Thank you, Mr. Colson. Thank you, Mr. Show.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
Good morning. It's the 25th day of September. I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Sean Diddy Combs is in the same Brooklyn jail as former crypto king Sam Bankman-Fried. Sources tell NBC Combs is being housed at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn in the same living space of the disgraced crypto exec. Two different judges have denied Combs release on bail in connection to racketeering and sex charges, with a third appeal set for next month. Forecasters say Tropical Storm Helene could be a Category 3 hurricane before it makes landfall in Florida. Helene is expected to intensify over the eastern Gulf of Mexico and become a hurricane sometime today. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Celebrating hardworking teachers of New Orleans Public Schools is what we do best. Join New Schools for New Orleans, Allstate, Sugar Bowl, and Interstate New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 3rd annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. If you want to check out the awardees in the schools where they teach at, please visit noeta, noeta.org. You can also purchase tickets to the gala via the website too. Let's send these teachers some love for all the hard work they do with our students.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back. Ooh, that was a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it was.
Man, from Sealy and Perry Shows and Marcus Colson. Man, wasn't that, you know, to me, that I'm especially being, you know, you and I being college athletes and admiring and still being sports fans.
Yes.
You know, so many athletes kind of fade away after their career, or they stick in that area of sports to see Marcus Colson.
More than an athlete.
Team with,
Yes.
right. Team with Perry Shows. And say, hey, you know what? There's something I'm interested in that I want to share with others. And that's definitely a solution. So that was really, really, really a good segment. And we're going to look at making that a staple here on the Good Morning Show with Dr. Wyatt and OT. And shout out to Career Emergence Leadership Institute, Ms. Schultz. Thank you for what you do. That's a solution. We're talking about solutions. Our wellness partners with Ashna, especially Dr. Wanda Robinson. I think we ought to just call her the WBOK New Orleans doc, right? If there's an issue to do with wellness, she has these conversations with our community, and she's joined today with Roberto Carranza, also family medicine. Our topic is metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome. I don't know what that is, Doc, but
we're about to find out.
I know we're about to find out. Dr. Robinson, is always, welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I think we lost Dr. Robinson. Dr. Carranza?
Oh, we'll get her.
I'm here. How are you?
Oh.
Hey, we're good, Doc. We got to get Dr. Robinson back on. First of all, thank you, guys, for your partnership with WBOK and for what y'all do with this wellness effort. I think Dr. Robinson is on her.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back.
She's back.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
I'm sorry, Doc. That's why the host should just talk and leave the buttons.
To not run behind the box.
and look, know your role, know your job. Leave the buttons alone. Doc, how you doing, man? You doing all right?
Doing well. How about yourself?
We doing all right. You know, I always look forward to these conversations with you.
Yes.
You know, I think we just call you the doc now, because if there's an issue with medicine and wellness, you're on it and you have these conversations. But why don't you to set the table for what is metabolic syndrome?
I will let Dr. Carranza speak to that. But what I will say is I want to introduce him.
Please.
Dr. Roberto Carranza just joined the practice last month. He is a Hispanic provider, and I think it's fitting as we are celebrating National Hispanic Heritage Month. And he will be at our Metairie location where, there's a large Hispanic population. So, with all the community health centers, we're just trying to make sure that we're in communities, serving those underserved communities and bringing providers that look like the community. So, Dr. Carranza, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then you can tell them all about metabolic syndrome.
Thank you, Dr. Rob.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Hello, I'm Roberto Carranza. Originally from Honduras, lived a couple of years in Monroe in North Louisiana, and then I just moved here to join that practice in the Metairie location, and I'm ready to start taking care of our Spanish-speaking populations and basically everyone that lives in the area and that feels that location is very convenient for them, either because they work in the area or they live in the area. So yeah, we are welcoming everyone who wants to go see us, and we have plenty of we take most insurances, including Medicaid and Medicare.
Yes, all patients are welcome, regardless of their ability to pay, and that was our goal from the very beginning. So, and I work at the Metairie location also with Dr. Roberto Carranza as well.
And Dr. Carranza, it's as unfamiliar as I am with metabolic syndrome, I'm sure most people listening are also. How do you identify it? What are some of the signs? And what are some of the factors in terms of risk for this thing that I knew nothing about, but I'm learning about now? Dr. Carranza.
Yeah, so metabolic syndrome is basically a constellation of conditions or risk factors that puts us at risk for either diabetes or hypertension or even stroke. So I'm pretty sure that all of us have heard of high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, and obesity. And all of those symptoms are risk factors for heart disease or chronic conditions. But basically what metabolic syndrome is, it is a cluster of risk factors that basically increase a person's risk of developing diabetes, heart disease, or stroke. And there are basically 5 risk factors that we take into account. And the first one that we usually check is abdominal obesity. And this is different from men and women. Usually we say that if a woman has more than 35 inches of the waist circumference, or a man has more than 40 inches of waist circumference, then they are classified as abdominal obesity. And that is one of the biggest risk factors. The second risk factor is going to be high blood pressure. And usually that is a blood pressure that is 130/80 or higher. And this is typically found on wellness visits in the clinic or with your practitioner. The other risk factor is impaired fasting blood glucose, and that usually means that if it's over 100, if the patient is fasting. Triglyceride levels over 150, that is another big risk factor. And this is usually one test that we find when we do blood work. And that's when we check the cholesterol levels of the persons. And the other risk factor will be low HDL, which is the one that people typically know as the good cholesterol. So if that is less than 40 for men and less than 50 for women, then that is another huge risk factor.
It's, in the brief, you mentioned some things we're familiar with, and but there are others. In reading the factors of things, whether it's the high blood pressure, the waist circumference, blood glucose, but triglyceride, what is that, and what role does that play when you talk about this syndrome?
So triglycerides are a type of fat in the blood, and if cholesterol levels are too high, then this can start depositing and forming little plaques in the blood vessels, and this just increases the risk for high blood pressure and for diabetes and even for strokes. So the end goal of trying to identify this metabolic syndrome is take immediate action, and that includes lifestyle, just to prevent from other conditions to develop, like hypertension or strokes.
Mm-hmm. You know, Doc and Dr. Robinson and Dr. Carranza, I know when I have a headache. I know when I have the flu. I think I kind of know when I have a cold or maybe COVID or something. Nowadays, it's so common now. I know when my knee from playing ball hurt, but how do I know if I got metabolic syndrome?
Well, it means you have to go to your doctor and
okay.
get things checked.
But are there any signs, especially for people who are listening out there, where you can say if you're experiencing this, then you might have this. Go get checked, Doc.
Well, I'll just add here that the only thing that you may know for certain that you can probably observe yourself is abdominal obesity, right? You know, you think people have a big gut, right? But, you know, high blood pressure is totally asymptomatic most of the time. Most people have high blood pressure and they don't even know
Dr.
it.
Robinson, I don't have no big gut. Why you so pick? No, I'm cool. You're not talking about me. Okay.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. And I think if you would know, what we do know, like there is general obesity, and we usually define that by a BMI greater than 30. Morbid obesity, a BMI greater than 40.
Right.
And with those numbers, we take your height into account. But with abdominal obesity, you see people can be really not really large in other places, but they just have, you know, a large belly. And so that is for sure one of the things that you can know yourself. You can get a tape measure and measure your abdominal circumference. But the blood pressure, you know, like I said, you have to have it checked. I mean, you know, you can purchase your own blood pressure cuff, or you can go to a local drugstore and have that checked. But the glucose, the triglycerides, and the HDL, the good cholesterol, that requires blood work. And I just wanted to say the triglycerides, you know, when you do a cholesterol panel, there are a number of different fats on that panel. Some are good and some are bad. And for different conditions, some of them are weighed more heavily than others. Like for heart disease, particularly, we really, really focus on the LDL, which is the low density lipoprotein. The HDL, the good cholesterol, it could be affected by things like exercise and smoking. Like lack of exercise, or if you increase your exercise, you can increase your HDL. If you smoke, that can lower your HDL, your good cholesterol. Then you want as much of the good cholesterol as you can have to counteract the bad cholesterol. And the triglyceride is a type of fat that mostly comes from your diet. It's fat, it's the butter, it's the oil, it's the fatty foods we eat. That one is mostly driven by our diet. So if you know, I mean, and that's in New Orleans, that's access. We like the rich foods, so we have to learn to substitute things that are more healthy.
So that sounds like some of the ways we could prevent and treat metabolic syndrome. Are there other ways to treat and prevent metabolic syndrome?
Yes, I'll let Dr. Carranza answer that.
Yeah, so there are multiple ways that we can prevent and treat metabolic syndrome. I would say that the first step is identifying when a patient has metabolic syndrome or is even at risk of having metabolic syndrome. Because as we first started talking at the beginning of the conversation, there are 5 risk factors, but you don't have to have the 5 of them to have metabolic syndrome. If you have 3 of them, we can pretty confidently say that a patient has metabolic syndrome, and that is when we can take some action to prevent from things to develop. And usually the first course of action that we take is make some lifestyle modifications. And that's usually, we are talking about the diet. Diet is really, really important in these metabolic syndromes. Usually eating a diet that is rich in vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, plant-based fats. Try to avoid sugary drinks, foods that have too much oil or fat on them. That is one of the first modification that we can make. The other big one is exercising regularly, and that usually is 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity. Usually, I tell the patients that they can do. To make 150 minutes per week, they can do exercise for 50 minutes 3 times a week, or exercise for 30 minutes 5 times a week. And usually, personally, I prefer to do 50 minutes 3 times a week, and then I just rest the other days. Right? I feel like it's easier, and it can also be maintained long term. The other big one is spending less time sitting. I know that some jobs, it is basically sitting in a desk 8 to 5, but we have to try to find the moment, or at least 5 minutes every hour or every 90 minutes to just walk around, stretch up, and basically have some kind of movement. The other one that we can usually do for metabolic syndrome is maintaining a healthy weight. But again, that also kind of goes with the first 2 that I mentioned about eating a healthy diet and also exercising. And that is basically the lifestyle modifications that we can do. The other big one is limiting alcohol and quitting smoking. Smoking raises blood pressure and puts us at risk of having heart disease and stroke. And it also impacts the people around us, right? So quitting smoking and decreasing the amount of alcohol, that is also a big one. And once a patient has other comorbidities or other diseases like hypertension, or diabetes, or high cholesterol, then there are medications provider can prescribe to you to try to get those conditions under control and prevent them from getting worse. And basically, the end goal is prevent any strokes or any damage to any of the other organs.
Well, Dr. Robinson and Dr. Carranza, we got a minute and a half left for this segment, and thank you guys. But as always, Dr. Robinson, why choose Ochsner, and where can people especially those who are listening, where can they call or reach out to, if nothing else, if they've listened to the show and they have some of these symptoms or they're concerned about metabolic syndrome or any other ailment, who can they see? Who can they call? Which website can they go to? Yes,
so they can contact any of the Ochsner Community Health Centers by going to ochsner.org, and we'll be happy to take care of them.
And Dr. Carranza, man, anything you want to add on this topic? And happy Hispanic Heritage Month to you, and thank you for what you do. And Dr. Carranza?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to have us here. I would just say that if you have any question, we are always open to see everyone in our clinics. And we have our clinic is set up so that we can see patients on the same day or even schedule virtual visits. So we're trying to make it more convenient for patients to be able to reach us.
Thank you. We appreciate you times 10. And Dr. Robinson, as always, we just need to call Dr. Robinson
our resident doctor.
City Doc, yeah. City Doc. We look forward to the next time, and I'm sure they'll have a topic or something that we don't know about, but was prevalent when you talk about our overall wellness.
Yeah.
Man. God bless you guys. We appreciate y'all. Until next
Have a great
time.
day.
WBOK, 12:30 a.m.
What New Orleans is always talking about.
All day long. Whose station?
Our station.
It's Dr. Wyatt's station. We'll be back after the break, guys.
Norman Robinson is back.
Can you hear me now?
And he's taking no prisoners.
Can you hear me now?
Each weekday, Norman Robinson brings you commentary with Off the Top.
The incident was shocking, disturbing, disgusting, disappointing, and sad.
Each weekday, Off the Top with Norman Robinson is heard exclusively right here.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. A DOTD worker dies after being hit by a vehicle while working on the side of the road. State police say 23-year-old Eric Anthony Jr. was assisting a broken-down vehicle in the shoulder of the road on Tuesday, when troopers say another car veered off the roadway, striking the DOTD worker. Anthony was taken to a local hospital, but died from his injuries. 26-year-old Oscar Perez Moran of Arabi faces 1 count of negligent homicide, among other charges. A New Orleans police officer is facing second-degree battery charges after being arrested for an alleged bar fight. The NOPD says Darian Crochet has been reassigned to administrative duties pending the outcome of both a criminal and internal investigation. Court documents showed the fight began at April's Lounge on Fulton Street in the CBD, and that he's not allowed back in the business. In Florida, braces for what could be the strongest storm to hit the U.S. in more than a year. Tropical Storm Helene could become a hurricane as early as today. The forecast calling for rapid intensification in the Gulf before making landfall on Thursday. Officials in the Sunshine State now ordering thousands of residents to evacuate. Helene is expected to bring powerful winds, flooding, and life-threatening storm surge across Florida. But the effects could be the worst in the northwest part of the state. That's why property owners there are filling sandbags and stocking up on essentials. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK.
Welcome back to school, families and scholars. NOLA Public Schools is excited to kick off another exciting year of learning, growth, and success. Our dedicated teachers have been preparing all summer to provide an engaging and enriching experience for every student. Let's embrace new challenges, celebrate achievements, and make this school year the best one yet. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS by visiting our social media channels. Here's to a year filled with curiosity, creativity, and community. Attend today, achieve tomorrow.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month, a service of the Community Scientist and Rise St. James. This month, we're focusing on lead, a heavy metal that's dense, soft, and poses serious health risks. In Cancer Alley, lead exposure from industrial emissions or contaminated soil can significantly increase cancer risks and other health problems. Stay informed and protect your health. For more information, visit risestjames.org.
The National Fried Chicken Festival, presented by Raising Cane's, is back with over 40 restaurants, 2 days of entertainment, and 3 VIP experiences. Join us October 5th and 6th on Lakeshore Drive at Franklin. Get your tickets at friedchickenfestival.com.
Ochsner Health knows that making your health a priority is key to staying active. Join Ochsner Health, Johnson & Johnson, and community partners for a free event focusing on Black men's health. Get screenings for blood pressure, glucose, cholesterol, and prostate cancer. Plus, join candid conversations with health experts about men's sexual health and well-being. This event is Saturday, September 28th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Marrero Community Center at 1861 Ames Boulevard. Be proactive, stay active.
Hey, have you heard the news? First Pilgrims Baptist Church is now on WBOK 1230 a.m. Tune in every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. to hear Pastor Eugene Mitchell give you the inspiration you need for the week ahead. That's every Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. only on WBOK 1230 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 a.m. Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 a.m.
We are back, man. Shout out to Dr. Rob and Dr. Carranza.
Yeah.
Metabolics, and we learned something new.
We learn something new every day here.
We really do.
Yes.
We really got an advantage.
Yes, we do. The inside track.
With the inside track on a lot of information. But right now, we want to welcome Reverend Gordon to the show. Talking about National Recovery Month, breaking the stigma, and what a treat. He's been no stranger to the Good Morning Show, whether it's wealth building, wellness, addiction, or recovery. My cousin, Ty Jalou, is also in the studio with Reverend Gordon. Todd, if you don't mind, if I would like you to set the table for Reverend Gordon and NOLA RC and what this effort is and why Recovery Month. You know, we highlighted National Hispanic Heritage Month. We have Women's Month. We had Men's Month. But this is really important, especially not only to you, but to much of our society.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Thomas. This is a great opportunity. This month is National Recovery Month, and I just happened to celebrate 12 years clean and serene from alcohol and drugs on the 5th of September.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I also want to reintroduce Dr. Reverend, who is our cousin as well, Gordon, with this collective that, mental health, substance abuse, and spirituality all plays an important role in the makeup of the human being. And in that makeup, we found it necessary that all these different specializations of people that have vast experiences in these fields, we want to collectively bring them together and find some synergy so we could help the whole.
And Reverend Gordon, the unique thing about the NOLA Recovery Collective that you've done, and I love Educate, Empower, and Recover, the 4 quadrants you've broken it down into: mental health, spiritual wellness, physical health, and social health. Why did you use that approach?
Well, and good morning, and thank you for supporting NOLA Recovery from the beginning. You've been there, and we truly appreciate the work you're doing in the community. So this is a holistic disease, so the approach has to be a holistic approach. The disease of addiction and mental health affect every area of our lives. So it's important that when we try to heal from these ailments, that we address every area, and that's what we're doing this Saturday. We bring in the different professionals and also those with lived experience as it relates to mental health and substance misuse disorder in one room, and we're going to have a solution-based conversation on what addiction is, what mental health is, and how we can address those issues.
Well, I'm a Narcotics Anonymous baby. My mother was addicted to crack cocaine. She is 32 years clean and sober.
Okay.
And so I understand the Serenity Prayer and all of those things. And so I was looking at this, the National Recovery Month. It would be so nice to have hear from kids who have experienced, like the lived experience of having parents addicted to drugs or alcohol and how they navigate those spaces. So this would be, I definitely think I want to come to this. I might invite my mom because I think it's important for people to understand your journey is not where you start, but it's where you end up. Like she was addicted to crack. We had her sister was, she's missing. She still is considered missing to this day. They went out together. They didn't come back home together. And that affected her and led her to drugs. So for a large portion of my childhood, she was addicted to crack. And she's 32 years clean and sober. So this is a conversation that I'm, intimately attached to.
Reverend Gordon, especially in talking to Todd and people who know you, it's been important in terms of breaking the stigma.
Yes.
Right? And I learned a long time ago, whether it's in my family, working in recovery, working with ex-offenders, everybody's addicted to something.
Yes.
There's some people who are messed up because they're too addicted to doing too good all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Too much of anything is a bad thing.
Too much of anything. Talk about breaking the stigma. And then what they don't know is, what we know is, we can be in a room with some of the most notable, accomplished people in the world, and folk have no idea that what they've been through, or that they've broken their addiction, or they're in recovery. Breaking that stigma.
Yes. So mental health and substance abuse disorder is a human condition, and it could happen to anybody.
Anybody.
But I think going forward, what we have to do as a community is change the language, because what we'll do is call somebody a crackhead, or call somebody a dope fiend, when the real deal is that a problem is a problem, and if you have a problem with drugs, it's your problem. Mm-hmm. It's your problem.
You got a problem with donuts and ice cream.
It's your problem, and if you present it with a problem, you deal with a problem. So as family members and as community, we need to watch our language, because we stigmatize people and call them crackheads when we just could say, hey, listen, you have a problem.
And that's where the
Let's
shame
deal with the
comes
problem.
in.
Yeah.
You don't seek the help because you're ashamed. Absolutely.
You don't ask for it.
Yeah.
You don't
subliminally, though, we're asking for it when you call me that.
Absolutely.
Right? When you call me a crackhead, because the person who's saying that don't know about the disease of addiction.
It's a disease,
right?
Yes.
And what happens, like he just said, the language has to change because words are important.
Yeah.
So Todd, I want you to stay there because knowing your life, right? You've made it public. You speak to groups all over this country. You got people to be in a room, knowing the stigma is attached, but folk not knowing that you got several degrees.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You've worked in criminal justice for much of your life.
Yeah.
Talk about overcoming that kind of phobia, where these people are talking around you and you're like, well, hey, hold on a second, I'm more educated. Than all of y'all.
Well, I have a number of degrees in the street.
Absolutely.
We won't use the stigma of what society says.
It's
I have
success.
a master's.
Yes.
No, I have a degree in the street because I think in order for me to be really effective, I have to help our people. I have to be able to be an example, a visual example of what success is in regards to dealing drugs, using them, because if you deal them, you're using them, and just life on life terms. We talked about the language. If we don't say the highest things, if we don't have the highest frequency in our language, then you're not giving me an opportunity to grow. Not just me, for anybody. If we're not realizing that every human being has this inherent potential to reach the highest version of themselves, then we don't have nothing.
The condition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no matter the condition, we don't have nothing. And it's very important for us to understand. I can't call you a crackhead. I got to say, well, look like you're hanging out a little longer than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But we need to like try to put some brakes on that, right? And I think you know, with Reverend Dr. Harrell, he gave me this opportunity to be on board, and Mayor Thomas and yourself allowed me to give the community an opportunity to see that we've been conditioned and indoctrinated improperly. Because just because you have these degrees don't make you the authority on things. And
go ahead.
I'm sorry, but also too, when we talk about stigma, you know, crack was stigmatized because of the demographic of people who were addicted to crack. But then when there's a different type of drug and people are addicted to it, then it becomes a health crisis. It's not lock them up, you know, because we saw what crack did to our communities, and it was lock them up, jail them up. But now that there's like this opioid addiction going on, it's a health crisis. Crack was a health crisis. Right. Because but it wasn't handled as a health crisis.
Those people don't want their children to be locked up with Todd. He look like he's too big. We don't want my son we don't want my son in the cell.
But you're suffering from the same affliction, the same diseases. It's just a different form of drug.
And we're not empowered to change the rules and the laws in regards to that. We go ahead.
And I think, what I know is NOLA Collective has come in existence because of this very issue.
Well, thank you for your work.
The help is not getting to those who need it the most.
Yes.
So our whole scheme is to go to the people, to create the space for us to talk about these things and teach them how to recognize.
So let's stay there. Change the language. You mentioned that. That's extremely important. I'm conscious of that. Now, I remember Dr. Tammy Lewis Wilborn, who was one of our guests, on mental health that we've been doing for years. We were doing a segment on mental health, and I was being facetious with it. I kept talking about cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She said, Oliver, that's part of the problem. You're talking about your uncle being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. When you use that type of dismissive language, then you don't bring the right attention.
Trivializing it.
To the seriousness of the issue. So you talked about language, breaking the stigma, but then the other component you have here is building strength. That takes that individual, Reverend Gordon. What goes into building that strength? So once you recognize the language, break the stigma, how do you build that strength?
Connection. One of the things that mental health does, and I mean, in substance abuse does, is it disconnect you. So you take that person, you integrate them back into the community, you connect them with like folk like them that understand what they're going through, and you wrap them up in services and connections, and you let them know that the shame is not in having a problem, but the shame is in not addressing the problem. And we're going to continue to call it a problem, right? Because I have heart disease. That's a problem, right? So I do something about that. And I go to my doctor, and I exercise, and I eat right. So there's things that can be done. So we connect those persons with those problems to the correct services. And not only that, teach the family, because this is a family disease. It affects every area of our life. Mental health affect the family. Substance abuse affect the family. So we teach the family how to help that person, and help themselves, because, in a sick way, we become sick also.
Wait, say that again. In a sick way, we become sick also.
Yeah. But check this out even more. So in speaking about the language, you can't penalize me. You can't penalize me for the way I express my dysfunction. You can't penalize, because my expression is my expression, not yours, not what you think I should be. So I think when we're addressing strength, we're supposed to show unconditional love. This is really important that we have this type of bond.
Now that's extremely difficult, Todd, because that unconditional love, in many cases, the reaction to that issue right, may not be in love. So how do you do that?
No, because the love is if you do something, or if you don't do something, but say something.
Okay.
That's unconditional love. It don't have to be through monetary. It could be through I'm gonna guide you here, or it could be that I'm gonna give you this. And one thing we don't want, people that suffer with this disease of addiction, we don't want, and I said this earlier in the meeting, we don't want the ghost of unused potential to come to your bedside on your deathbed and say, yo, I've been here all your life and you ain't even tapped in to this. The ghost of unused potential. You know what I'm saying? And I think most of us go to the grave without even tapping into our greatness. We great. If you're a survivor, if you overcome your need, you're a winner, you're a champion. And I think those words and that vernacular need to be expressed to the person that suffers with the disease. You're a champion, you're
But
a
who
winner.
changes the language, Reverend Gordon? And Dr. White is an educator, so nobody's more skilled in wordsmithing and language than she is. But who changes it? Do we change the language? Do the men and women in recovery change the language, or is it a combination and effort of both of how we eventually communicate?
As a community, we have to be trained, right? Because we was trained to speak in those manners, and media gave us those languages. So I think it's now up to us as a community, those that know, to teach those who don't know how to speak, how to talk about the illness. Because overall, everybody want that person to get better because it benefits everybody, even if it's not your family member. But if it's the guy that's standing in front of the store that's begging for money and just maybe getting in your way of getting into the store, that's a problem. So you want that person to get better. So if we train you how to talk to that person, you can be the agent of change, to have the conversation with that person, to let them know, bro, you have a problem. And I went to this place and they said that you could go here. And so it's up to us to have these conversations and create. We have a faith-based initiative. We go into churches, we teach this. We're going to be teaching it at the gym. Come to the gym this Saturday. At
2:30.
2:30 on the 28th.
And that's 3101 Erato Street.
3101.
Helping Us Community Center.
That's right. We're gonna have these conversations, and and we could teach you how to change that language.
Well, before we end this segment, there's a couple minutes left. You said something that's important, and we find sometimes we think we're keeping it real with people. But that conversation could be that moment that inspires recovery.
Yes.
And rarely, Reverend Gordon, Dr. White, do we think about it like that. Just how you treat that person in front of the store, just how you treat that person who's begging, because there's a moment in time that most folk who get into recovery, there's a moment of inspiration for them. It doesn't have to be big, some great occasion. It could just be how you address that person, where they say, you know what, man, I'm going to get some help.
I'm tired of living like this.
Yeah, how important is that?
Well, what I want to do is give a big shout out to another purple guy by the name of Mike Boudreaux, who spoke to me in some 28 years ago. I'm also in recovery.
Congratulations.
You remember that moment?
I remember that moment. He changed my life, and it was simply, he told me, you don't never, ever have to live this way no more. That piqued interest in me. That piqued interest in me. And words are important. They could change. Like they say, power is in the tongue. Mm-hmm. Life and death lies in the tongue.
Edward Cassine reminds
my man.
Yes.
Can you hit the bell for Edward Cassine?
Yes. Edward, with my brothers, with Naughty, partner. And Edward reminds folk all the time, and the way he talks to people, the way you talk to people, right? It is always as if there's a moment in a potential breakthrough. And for years, he's told people it's how you communicate with people, it's what you say. You may want to get upset, but that ain't the time for that moment to help that individual. How important is that?
Again, we need to see, if we want things to get better, we need to think about, it's the words always go out, somebody need to do something. How about that somebody be you?
Yeah.
How about that somebody be you? Why don't you do something? Why don't somebody need to say something? Why don't you be the person to say something? All of us got an opportunity to change what's going on.
But Reverend Gordon, I'm upset, man. You're begging for money, man. You done took mama's stuff again. I'm supposed to be kind to you.
Everybody has an affliction. You just
ain't
happen
never
to see
paid me
his.
back what you owed me before, and I'm supposed to have a moment of kindness?
Yes.
It's all part of the process.
Yes.
Let he without sin cast the first stone.
It's all part of the process.
Yeah. And at the same time, just because we can't see your affliction and it's not on display doesn't mean you don't have one. So grace should be afforded to everybody.
Don't shine your head.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. One more time. When is this? When and where?
This will be this Saturday, the 28th, at Us Helping Us Community Center at 3101 Erato Street. Before we leave, I want to also recognize NAMI that's sponsoring this event. We want to recognize Metropolitan that's been a champion and helping us on the way. CARD. We want to recognize CARD, the Center for African American.
Yeah, Dr. Dunham over at Metropolitan.
Dr. Dunham. So many people. Yeah. We're not doing this, but I want to thank Oliver Thomas.
And WBOK.
From the beginning.
I'm going to be there Saturday.
A1
Put
from the day one. Oliver
name.
Thomas will be our opening speaker. Come out and support. Come out and support. And we're doing many things going forward. We're looking forward to also doing the Women in Recovery and coming soon. We're also looking at doing a Black Love mental health segment in the new year. We're also looking at doing the Back in the Park mental health segment in the new year. We're also looking at getting with the youth and dealing with them with mental health because our babies are sick.
Yes, they are.
And they need help also. Thank you guys.
Y'all promised to come back, right?
Absolutely. We promise to come back if you'll help us.
Congratulations on y'all's recovery.
See you Saturday, man. What a blessing, man. Thank y'all so much. Look, we only taking a break, but then we'll be back. Man, Marcellus Williams.
We gonna still talk about it?
Yeah, the brother was executed with a mountain of evidence showing his incident. Why didn't they have that stay? Right? We'll that and a whole lot more with Dr. Widener after the break. WBOK, 12:30 a.m.
What New Orleans is always talking about.
Whose station?
Ours.
No, it's your station, baby. We'll be back.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Partly cloudy skies with a better chance for rain. Likely going to see a few isolated storms this afternoon and evening. Wind gusts could get up to 25 miles per hour as dry air moves in late Wednesday into Thursday. Today's highs, though, will be into the upper 80s, feeling like the mid-90s. Mid-80s, though, are expected for Thursday and Friday. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter. From real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fits-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Celebrating hardworking teachers of New Orleans Public Schools is what we do best. Join New Schools for New Orleans, Allstate, Sugar Bowl, and Integer New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 3rd annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. If you want to check out the awardees and the schools where they teach at, please visit noeta, noeta.org. You can also purchase tickets to the gala via the website too. Let's send these teachers some love for all the hard work they do with our students.
WBOK is pleased to announce the reboot of Crosstown Conversations with host Gene Nathan. A heightened focus on cultural entertainment events and the creators who present them. The new time is now Saturday at noon. Tune into the stories of our exploding creative scene with Gene Nathan on Crosstown Conversations.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
Norman Robinson is back.
Can you hear me now?
And he's taking no prisoners.
Can you hear me now?
Each weekday, Norman Robinson brings you commentary with Off the Top.
The incident was shocking, disturbing, disgusting, disappointing, and sad.
Each weekday, Off the Top with Norman Robinson is heard exclusively right here.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
Hey, New Orleans, Tavis Smiley here, inviting you to join me each weekday evening at 7 p.m. right here on WBOK 1230 AM for the Tavis Smiley Show. You can expect great guests and getting the answers you need to know. It's the Tavis Smiley Show on our new home in New Orleans, WBOK 1230 AM.
Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
Hey, everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back 51 minutes past the top of the hour. As always, man, we want to thank all of our guests.
Yes.
And Dr. White, he can speak for himself, but people we bump into, man, who call us in Texas, man. Great show. Appreciated the conversation.
Yeah.
It's been like that the last several weeks, and I don't think y'all know how much that inspires us.
Yes.
Even if it's topics where we don't agree, but to know that, we're paying attention, we're dealing with topics and issues that you're not going to hear them talked about
anywhere else.
And
varying perspectives are necessary. That's why I don't even understand why people get so offended by somebody's opinion or stance.
Right.
Like there's just a perspective, right? And that's what shapes the world, different people's perspectives. And so I just want to go back to talking about Marcellus Williams because I literally took that so hard because I could not wrap my mind around the idea that this country would rather kill a man than to admit that they wrongfully incarcerated him for 20 years. He spent 20 years on death row for a crime he did not commit. He was arrested in 1998 for a murder. He was convicted in 2001. He spent 20 years on death row. And when they finally received the evidence that exonerates him, they ignored it. The governor of Missouri and the Attorney General of Missouri pushed for this execution. And with the help of SCOTUS, 6 people on SCOTUS, they refused to stay the execution, and only 3 Supreme Court justices dissented, and I'm sure we can name them. Sotomayor, Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, they were the only 3 to dissent, to say that they wanted his life spared. But the other 6 justices, including the young lady right out of Metairie, they decided to push forward and deny the stay of execution. So last night about 6:30, he was he was executed by lethal injection.
And there was a mountain of evidence and contradictions.
Yeah, the only prints that they found on the gun belonged to the investigators. On the weapon, the knife, because she was stabbed to death.
None of the DNA.
None of the DNA
evidence could be.
There was hair and fiber.
Could be linked to Mr. Williams.
Could not link him to any of it.
The family
supported.
Said they didn't want this man executed.
And the prosecutor in St. Louis also said he did not deserve to die because the evidence was overwhelming that he deserved at least a stay so that they could further look into the evidence. And it's also another point to say that they used the information from 2 jailhouse informants, 2 convicted felons, as testimony against him. And that is how they convicted him, with a jury that was made up of 11 white people and 1 black person, which is not even a jury of his peers. And so this case to me is it's an exemplar for how broken our judicial systems are and how divided this country is, because even the Supreme Court justices went down party lines in order to give their ruling.
And let me even further state how heinous this is from the AP report. Without DNA evidence pointing to any alternative suspect, the Midwest Innocence Project attorneys, along with Mr. Williams, had reached a compromise with the prosecutor's office. Williams would enter, even after proclaiming his innocence for decades, a no-contest plea of first-degree murder in exchange for a new life sentence in prison without parole. A no-contest plea is an admission of guilt, but it is treated as such for the purpose of sentencing, and the family of the victim signed off. So this man was saying, I know I'm innocent,
but I'll stay in jail the rest of my life. Just don't kill me.
Don't kill me.
Just don't kill me. And they did it anyway. And so for me, I just took it so hard because I have a son that I hope to one day become a black man that could be productive in this community, but he never had a chance. He went to jail in his 30s and he was murdered by the government at 55.
Let's go to line number 1, First Lady of WBOK. Miss Jones, you're on with Dr. Wyatt and OT. Miss Jones?
Why, it really was, because it's a disgrace on this nation's part, the way they operate. I know locally I had people to serve 25 years for something undone, all the way right about to be sent to Vietnam, but yet still 25 years. That governor in Missouri is just a hateful person. It's just hate.
Governor Pierce.
I'll tell you a short story of something my aunt told me sometimes back, when a medical doctor in some little country town had the privilege to pull the switch on somebody who was innocent. This was sometime back in the 50s or 40s. And that same doctor never spoke the same, never was the same, was brilliant. And this guy had pleaded that and the word was said that he died before they could even do the switch. I know we can't bring Marcellus back, but it's a disgrace. That's just a hateful man. I wish our people would become registered, because I understand they pick jurors from the register. Being a registered voter.
That's why it's important that we register to vote.
They should want to register. This should be ongoing.
Yes.
Ms. Jones and Dr. White, didn't we deal with this with the case with the man from Savannah, Georgia, a few years ago?
Yes.
Where up until the last day, even the witnesses were saying that, changing their story, and they still killed him anyway.
They actually came out and said that they lied.
They lied.
And they killed him anyway.
Yeah, that was the guy in Georgia, yeah.
Absolutely. And I also want to point out that the parallels between this government-sanctioned murder and the murder of George Floyd, it took 9 minutes to kill Marcellus Williams. The officer knelt on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And so we're seeing this happen all over this country, and that's why registering to vote is important, because the jury pool is made up of registered voters. They pull from the registered voter list to put you on a jury pool, and so you cannot serve on a jury if you're not registered to vote.
Well, first of all, thank you, Dr. Wyatt, for bringing this attention here and having us all text to spare his life. That effort may have not worked, but hopefully, prayerfully, knowingly, he gave his life so that we could live.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that we could use not only our right to vote, our civic engagement, and use our hearts to love each other more.
And also, too, Oliver, this talks about the importance of the governor's office, the importance of the attorney general's office. We have an attorney general here Attorney General Liz, she's making comments about the city of New Orleans that are detrimental to its survival. There was an article that came out talking about the crime rate is down, but the jails are packed. And her commentary said, I think the people should stop committing crimes in New Orleans. She's not going to talk about the changes that the governor made in terms of policy and legislation. She's saying that the jails are overcrowded because the only people committing crimes are the people in New Orleans.
Well, what she didn't say is that the FBI report that came out that said the 10 most dangerous cities in Louisiana.
They don't deal in facts, Oliver.
New Orleans wasn't on it.
And so before we go, I want to say happiest of birthdays to my friend Naisha Witten. Everybody knows her as the LJS Diamond. She lives in Virginia, but she is a New Orleans girl, and we know ain't nothing like a New Orleans girl. So happy birthday, Naisha.
Not the side porch or the back porch,
but the front porch.
Sit on the front porch. WBOK 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking
always talking about.
Hey, still your birthday.
It's always my birthday
until
until I say so.